boy. Oh boy, it took the Bitterbirds a very, very long time to hop on the Nick Foles bandwagon. We were like a pair of girls. And not only did we play hard to get, we played impossible to get. We'd show up at the bar, and whenever we saw Nick, we'd turn our back to him, and we'd start conversing with Matt Barkley. And when Foles did talk to us, we'd pretend to act disinterested and give him one-word answers. We'd block his Twitter and Instagram accounts, and it was remarkable. He just kept throwing one touchdown after another. By the time we did hop on the bandwagon, however, there was literally no room left. I remember Mike and I, we got stuck next to this 600-pound fat guy who reeked of peanut butter, pickle juice, and crab fries. But now it feels like we're the only ones left. It's amazing. It's crazy. It's shenanigans. What the hell's going on? Mike Owens is here. I'm Adrian Fedkiw. We're still on the Nick Foles bandwagon, but god damn it, it's getting harder and harder to defend him each week.
You know, as the weeks go by, more people start jumping off the bandwagon. Now there's still a few people left, and we're one of the few. But if there's another bad week in Houston this week for Nick Foles, we might be the only ones left. Because, I mean, you listen to talk radio in Philadelphia right now, and everybody is bashing Nick Foles, saying that they don't think that he's our franchise quarterback. And coming into the season, that was a big question. Could Nick Foles be the franchise quarterback? Now all of a sudden, people have the likes of Marcus Mariota dancing in their minds. Just unrealistic options.
Yeah.
But
it's ridiculous.
you know, we were kind of talking about this yesterday, and a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of great quarterbacks, seem to have this sophomore type of slump. And I think that this is what Nick Foles is kind of having at this moment. So I don't know. I'm really not panicking at the moment, but it seems like everybody else is.
Yeah, it's funny. It's because, like, I'm withholding judgment on him until next year. The end of next year. I'm waiting until next year, and people are already like, "Oh, put Mark Sanchez in. We got to draft Marcus Mariota. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!" Like, what? What are you guys talking about? You know, this situation kind of reminds me of starting pitcher, and in particular Cole Hamels. Remember how great he was in 2008? Well, in 2009 he wasn't so hot. You know, all the batters, they adjusted to him. And Cole had to go back, and he adjusted back. He added a curveball to his repertoire. He added that cutter. And now all of a sudden, you know, Cole Hamels is back to being Cole Hamels.
Yeah, no, that's a great comparison there. And, you know, when you look at a starting quarterback in the National Football League, you really just have to judge them by wins. And at this point, Foles is getting the wins. I mean, you know, you look, now that Cardinals game, he made some key interceptions, and what happened? Well, the Eagles lost. But a lot of people seem to forget the games this year where he really stepped up when it mattered. At the end of that Colts game, at the end of the Redskins game, almost at the end of the 49ers game, he just couldn't get it done there from the 1-yard line. And he couldn't get it done from the 1-yard line here in the Cardinals game. And, you know, ironically, those are only 2 losses of the season. So for the most part, you know, his turnovers haven't really been hurting us that much, and really until, you know, this last game here against the Cardinals, when, you know, the turnover in the red zone, that's what really kills you. So, you know, I think that this is something that he can work through. It's really mostly what this is with Nick Foles right now. It's a problem with his feet. He's going to have to figure out how he can get his feet set when the pressure is coming. Because when the pressure comes, he doesn't set his feet. So he's got to figure out a way where maybe he just throws the ball away and they live for another down.
Yeah, it's basically what defenses have done this year to adjust to him. They're really ratcheting up the pressure, coming after Nick Foles, and like you just said, when he doesn't set his feet, that's when he makes mistakes. That's the mistake he made at the Arizona 25-yard line. He tried throwing that ball to Josh Huff, got picked off in the end zone by Antonio Cromartie. You know, he hesitated. He didn't set his feet, hips out here, you know, and threw the pick. So that's basically what happened there. And, you know, going back to the bandwagon point, this reminds me of, like, you know, one of those roller coaster rides. You know how everybody wants to, you know, go in the front of the roller coaster, and the line's like usually real big, and that's how it was last year. But this year, we could just keep going on that ride over and over and over again. No problem, unabated, no lines, nothing, because no one's going on the ride anymore. No one wants to ride the Nick Foles roller coaster.
Yeah, well, the funny part about that is the Nick Foles roller coaster, the line is going to be pretty full again once he gets hot again. Because I really feel like once the Eagles get this offensive line back intact, that's really going to be key. I mean, obviously, the two biggest guys on that offensive line, besides Peters, are really Kelsey and Evan Mathis. And I feel like when they get those two guys back, especially Kelsey, you're going to see him back this week. And, I mean, we've talked about Kelsey before, but the one thing that Kelsey is really good at, he's really good at getting downfield on those screen passes. So I kind of feel like the Eagles haven't been able to, get their screen game going in the past few games because they haven't had Kelsey. And I think that, a great illustration of a game that you can look at where they really utilize the screen is the Colts game with McCoy and Sproles. I mean, Sproles was a beast in that game. And I kind of feel like that's really what they want to do with Sproles. They really want to get him going in the screen game. But to do that, they need to get Kelsey back. And, well, he should be back this week.
Yeah, and since we're talking about the offensive line, obviously a big storyline this week is going to be Todd Harriman's, suffered a biceps injury on Sunday. And quite frankly, he wants to play through it. And I'm just like, I don't know how he's going to do it. Now, the only instance I can really remember a guy trying to play through a biceps injury was Terrell Suggs back in 2012. He was kind of a shell of his former self, but he wasn't as effective. But he kind of brought his leadership there when the Ravens won the Super Bowl that season. But I'm concerned about this because a guy with one arm going against J.J. Watt is not a recipe for success.
Yeah, this is something that is really quite surprising that Harriman's is going to play through this. Now, when the report came out, maybe a day after that Cardinals game, that he actually tore his bicep. Now, usually a torn bicep is a season-ending injury, but he's going to try to play through this. It's interesting because on the you look on the defensive side of the ball, and the Cowboys lost their linebacker Durant for the season due to this torn bicep injury. I saw some tweets, and they were talking to this one doctor. Now apparently he says it's easier for an offensive lineman to play through a torn biceps than a defensive player. And kind of interesting because you would think that it would be tough for an offensive lineman to play with only one arm because they've got to push, off the opposing lineman. So it's very interesting. So we'll see. I mean, it's one of those things where you hope that he can play up to, somewhat of his capability because if he's like 50% out there, that's just not going to get it done.
No, not at all. And we talked about this yesterday at work. Even if he plays this week, because you'll have Evan Mathis come back next week. So, you could play him this week, and if he's not effective, you could just sit him out for how long you want to sit him out, whether it's a season or until he gets healthy, if he gets healthy before the end of the year. But, yeah, you could, play him this week, see what happens, and if anything, bring Dennis Kelly along on that right side.
Yeah, I think that really what they're going to do.
That's over.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think they might actually put a Kelly in there for Harriman's, or they would put Tobin in there. They've got some options, but it's really going to depend on how Harriman's plays on Sunday and if he can play through the pain. Now, if he realizes that this is going to be too much. What the Eagles may do is they may sit him out until the playoffs, and hopefully he can recover a little bit up until that time. So that's another option that they would have. But, yeah, this is definitely something to keep your eye out on Sunday, especially with J.J. Watt, who's an absolute beast. So, yeah, definitely keep your eye out on Harriman's bicep. He's got it, his elbow is all taped up in practice this week. Now, the thing that, makes it tough to judge really is there's different types of, injuries with your biceps. I'm not a doctor, but I've been hearing different things. Apparently, there's three different spots that you can tear your bicep. The Eagles aren't saying which one it is, so really we have no idea.
Interesting. And talking about J.J. Watt now, turned down for Watt. He's got 38 sacks since the start of the 2012 season. That's the most in the league. He's got 7 already this year. Obviously, a monster along the line. They'll, kind of put him everywhere on the line. They'll line him up at D end, D tackle. They'll bring him everywhere. And really, he's one of the few, guys that they have on that Texans defense. Now, obviously, Jadeveon Clowney, he returned last week. Kind of played on a limited basis coming back from that knee injury. I watched some of that game against the Titans, and it still looks like he needs a little bit more time to get his, win back. I remember I was watching this one drive in the third quarter. The Titans were on this long sustained drive, and Clowney was having trouble getting off blocks, clearly winded, trying to fight through the weariness. But when he was earlier in the drives, when he wasn't tired, he still made some plays. But you can kind of tell he doesn't trust his knee yet.
Yeah, that's the type of injury. It's going to take him some time to get back from here. Could work into the Eagles' favor because the Eagles run such a fast-paced offense that it really won't give Clowney time to recover his knee there. So yeah, I don't think that Clowney will really be that big of a factor in this game as opposed to if he was healthy. This is really a game. The Texans defense. I mean, Watt is the guy. There's not too many players in this league where one guy can totally, switch the momentum of a game, but he's a guy that can do that. So, the Eagles really have to focus their attention on him, but, they have to be careful because we remember back to the playoff game against the Saints, and all week the Eagles focused their attention on shutting down Jimmy Graham. Well, they did a good job of shutting down Jimmy Graham, but they forgot about the rest of the team. And, different guys, unknown stars, all of a sudden came up and they bit us in the ass. So we have to be careful and make sure we don't focus too much attention on Watt because there's other players on that defense that could make a difference.
Yeah, Texans, going back to their defense, they're not a huge blitzing team, unlike the Wade Phillips era there. As defensive coordinator, they now have Romeo Crennel. They like to use a lot of stunts and twists up front, opening the lane up for a free rusher on the passer. So that's kind of how they play. They do boast one of the better third down defenses in the league, holding opponents to a 35.2% conversion rate. They do have a good set of corners in Jonathan Joseph and Kareem Jackson. The front seven, you got Watt. There's a couple other guys. Brian Cushing obviously comes to mind. But, it's not the same ferocious defense that the Texans have had over the last couple of years.
No, yeah, you're exactly right there. I mean, when you think about that Texans defense, I mean, the two main guys, you think of Cushing and Watt, and then obviously Clowney, but he won't be 100%. So, really those are the three main guys that we're going to have to focus on. And this is going to be a game where hopefully the Eagles can, get their ground game going against that defensive line.
Yeah, the Texans, they ranked 12th in the NFL stopping the run, but, they were struggling big time earlier on in the season. I remember watching Rashad Jennings run all over them. You had DeMarco Murray run all over them. But they've kind of boggled down the last couple of weeks, and now they rank 12th in the league. So we'll see, how the Eagles can do. McCoy looks a lot better the last few games, obviously. Gained a season high against the Giants, and then, ran for the most yards against Arizona has allowed this season. So, even though he didn't get as many carries as he would have liked against Arizona, he was still kind of effective, especially in the fourth quarter. So, it looks like he's kind of getting back to being the real McCoy. Offensive line's starting to come together, so we'll see how they do this week.
Yeah, and I think a big factor this week will be getting Sproles back in the lineup because having McCoy and Sproles in the backfield at the same time is that's a huge lift for the Eagles' offense. So I would like to see them maybe try to run the ball a little bit with Sproles. Maybe definitely get him involved in the passing game. I really feel like he's a guy that the Eagles just have to kind of try to get more involved in this offense.
Yeah, and since we're going to bring up Sproles now, that kind of makes me think of the red zone offense and how bad it's been this season for the Eagles. Worst of red zone offense in the league, the worst statistically in Eagles history since red zone stats were introduced in 1995. And this is where we could talk about, how they could fix their red zone woes. I made a video of this the other day. But now, I'd like to get your thoughts. I know Zach Ertz is a guy that I want them to utilize more in the red zone. He's only got 4 targets this year so far, and to me, that's simply not enough.
Yeah, no, the Ertz is definitely a guy that I think of as well that they have to get going in the red zone. But I think that their main problem in the red zone is that they're trying to run, the offense that they run between the 20-yard lines, that spread offense, fast-paced offense. But I really think that they have to kind of switch that up. They have to go to more of a traditional approach, especially when they get inside the 10-yard line. When you get a first and goal type of situation, I really think that the main thing is getting Foles under center. Not really, I gotta say, I'm not really a big fan of, Foles being in the shotgun, especially when they get down to the 1 or the 2-yard line. I'd really like to see Foles, under center a little bit more in the red zone, and maybe that'll help things out. But yeah, they've got to find a guy down there in the red zone that they can rely on. Ertz is a guy like you talked about. Maybe a guy like Jordan Matthews too. He had some success earlier this season in that game against the Redskins.
Speaking of Jordan Matthews, in the video that I did, he does lead the Eagles in red zone yards. He's got 4 receptions for 31 yards, had those 2 touchdowns against Washington. They like kind of utilizing him on the seam pass. Now, I got some numbers for you, red zone numbers. 23 drives the Eagles have had in the red zone. They've scored 8 touchdowns and 10 field goals for 86 points. It's not very good. And going to Foles, this is why a lot of people are hopping off the bandwagon. Last year, Foles, obviously phenomenal in the red zone, completed 65% of his passes, 16 touchdowns, no interceptions, 116.4 passer rating, second best in the NFL, behind Peyton Manning. This year, completely the opposite, completing 46% of his throws with 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a passer rating of just 67.1. So, now he's committing turnovers. Completion percentage has gone down, and yeah, really a tale of 2 years for Nicky Foles.
Yeah, another thing with the red zone, I would like to see him maybe try to, run the ball a little bit more with Foles. Maybe, roll him out a little bit, and if he's got some room, let him run in. I remember last year, it must have been, was it that Bucks game where he ran for a touchdown, if I remember correctly? It was almost like, it kind of, this brings up the Dallas game against the Redskins this past Monday night, and Colt McCoy, he made some great heads-up plays where, he kept the ball in his own hands, especially the one where he ran in for a touchdown, really put his body on the line, but it was a hell of a play. I would like to see them try to do that a little bit more with Foles, especially when they get down to that 1 or 2-yard line. I mean, Foles is a tall guy. He's a pretty big guy, so he should be able to, to get into the end zone if they only need a yard, or especially an inch, which they needed against the Cardinals.
Yeah, a little Asian man's inch.
Yeah, just couldn't do it. I mean, they've got to figure out something. Maybe really maybe run the ball a little bit more. I feel like they almost try to get too cute, and they try to run these trick plays that they really don't need to do in the red zone.
Yeah, well, part of the problem too is the Eagles really don't have that jump ball threat that can go up and get a pass in the corners of the end zone. You can make the argument that Riley Cooper's one of those guys, but he just doesn't come down with enough 50-50 balls, and when he is open, he seems to drop the ball. So I'm not really too high on that. So it seems like they try to use deception inside the red zone, utilizing that screen game. We saw it with Macklin on that one touchdown, even though technically it wasn't a trip in the red zone, but they were at the 21-yard line when it happened. So, it really was a trip in the red zone. And the other one was, the Huff play where he puffed, and he blew the ball away. They got 12 yards on that play, but, he fumbled. So they really talked about how they wanted to improve the red zone woes during the bye week. They had 3 trips in the red zone on Sunday, and they only got 3 points. So obviously they got to get back in the film room, got to get back with Nicky Foles, put that projector down, bring some apples in, get the glasses on, and get this thing fixed.
Yeah, the thing about the red zone too, it's like even if they can't score a touchdown, they gotta at least get field goals. I mean, if you get into the red zone and you're turning the ball over, that's just not gonna work at all. And you saw, I mean, it killed us in the Cardinals game. So they've got to get points somehow, even if it's a field goal. Can't turn the ball over. That's really the main thing. Turnovers in the red zone will kill you, and they'll lose you a game.
Yeah, they really do. And to give you the stats this year, because it's remarkable, dead last in the NFL in red zone touchdown percentage, 34.78%. And you compare that to Denver, which leads the league at 82.61%. So almost what's that? That's like a 40% difference there. That's remarkable.
Yeah, it absolutely
50%
is.
difference there. Man,
Yeah,
my math skills are like JPPs.
yeah, off the mark. You got to work on it a little bit.
Yeah, could be 0-8.
That's right. Oh boy. Yeah, but yeah, that red zone, geez, at this point, it's really just a nightmare for us. So we got to turn that around against the Texans here. Because this is one of those games that the Eagles should win. But if they want to play this game where they turn the ball over in the red zone again, we might be looking at a loss.
Mm, yeah, yeah, we'll see. Now, another key point in the game, obviously, is going to be stopping Arian Foster. Foster, he's tallied 519 yards and 8 touchdowns in his last 4 games. Obviously, the Texans, they like using that little stretch play to their advantage. So they've, O'Brien has actually done a great job of continuing to incorporate those stretch concepts that Foster had so much success with under Gary Kubiak. So still, running that stretch play as good as anyone in the league. And, lots similar to how the Redskins run the ball. And if you go back to that Redskins game, the Eagles held Alfred Morris to 77 yards on 23 carries for a 3.3 yards per carry average. So the Eagles did a great job against Alfred Morris. Obviously, Arian Foster, a lot better running back. He's a one-cut runner, and he's really good in the open field.
Yeah, obviously, Foster, one of the better backs in the league. Everyone knows about him. The thing about the Texans is they come into this game with 139.4 yards, rushing a game on the ground, which ranks 5th in the league. So, they're a team that definitely likes to run the ball. Their passing attack ranks 26th, only 213.1 yards per game. So I feel like this is a type of game where the Texans are really going to try to establish Foster, and the Eagles defense is going to have to shut him down, or at least try to hold him to numbers like they did with Alfred Morris and the Redskins.
Yeah, so the key for the defense, you got to create a wall against those zone running plays so that the back doesn't have a crease to get upfield. And another key component to stopping that run is the backside defenders. And, Foster is a great cutback runner. And that play side defender has, to form a wall. The play side to form a wall against the run. So then the backside defenders, can they have to maintain their gap integrity. So got to be able to finish the tackle one-on-one and get the ball carrier to the ground. I slipped up my words there, so I might not have made a lot of sense, but that's how you got to do it.
Yeah, well, I think we get the point there. I mean, the good thing is the Eagles face McCoy in practice every day, so they're used to the cutback moves and things like that. So they should be ready for Foster. The main thing going into this game is to contain Foster. You just don't want to, let him explode like he did last week for 3 touchdowns. So they just have to contain him, I feel like. And then the other guy on that Texans offense that everyone knows about is Andre Johnson. They're wide receiver, big-time wide receiver, big guy. So Eagles are going to have to do their best to contain him. Obviously, we don't have the most of that confidence in the world in our cornerback, so that could be an issue.
Yeah, they got Andre Johnson, and their leading receiver this year has been second-year wideout DeAndre Hopkins. So they got a nice little duo there now. And to me, I think the Eagles got to get off to a good start so you can kind of limit the carries for Foster. Because I think Fitzpatrick is a guy that obviously you can get some picks from him. He's not the greatest quarterback in the world, so get off to that early lead, make them throw the ball, and when you make them throw the ball, have Fitzpatrick make some mistakes. Although when the opposing team throws the ball, it can be scary at times because we saw it in the Rams game how easy it is for this defense to give up a lead, especially with this secondary.
Yeah, that's for sure. So yeah, Fitzpatrick, definitely a guy that the Eagles should be able to handle. Again, the big thing will be getting pressure on Fitzpatrick. They got pressure on Palmer last week, but Palmer did a nice job of getting the ball out fast. So hopefully they can get some sacks on Fitzpatrick this week, and that'll really be the big thing. I mean, obviously, Fitzpatrick is going to be, looking at Hopkins and Andre Johnson to throw the ball to. We know that he's not going to be looking for our old friend Damaris Johnson.
Oh, Damaris. Oh, the only guy in the NFL who trips more than, oh my God. The guy never stays on his feet. How does he have a job in the NFL? Incredible.
Yeah, we probably will see some of Damaris Johnson this week because they probably like to run some end arounds with him and things like that. Because he's that speedster type of guy, so they'll probably try to utilize him in that sense. But he might trip over his feet before he can even get going.
Oh man, the guy that I want the Eagles to attack on the Texans' offensive line is their right tackle Derek Newton. They got a Pro Bowler and Dwayne Brown, one of the better left tackles in the league. Right up there with Jason Peters, to be honest with you. Got one of the better centers in the league in Chris Myers. But when you look at the right side of the line, I think that's where they can be had. So looking at Connor Barwin to get some pressure again. And, Kendricks through the A-gap as well. Going up against Myers can be challenged. But, got to exploit Newton, I think.
Yeah, Noon's the guy that they could go after, and this could really be. I mean, Barwin's had a hell of a season, and this kind of brings up, the Eagles and how they have so many former Texans on their team. It's amazing. The Eagles are heading into this game with 7 former Houston Texans on their roster, and a lot of that comes in our linebacking core. You have Barwin and D'Amico Ryans, both starters for this Eagles team, were former Texans at one time. And they've really come into Philadelphia and fit in nicely here in the Eagles scheme.
And obviously that's going to help out with them trying to stop the run and understanding the zone blocking schemes and all that. Barwin and Ryans, they were going up against it every day in practice. So they'll have some tips for the Eagles front seven.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely an advantage for the Eagles there, and we'll see. But, yeah, I think that Barwin is a guy to really watch out for this week. He's really had a hell of a season so far, and I think that could carry over into Sunday. And, you'll see him in the backfield, hopefully getting some sacks and, tipping some passes, batting some balls down, and hopefully, that leads to some interceptions. because I think it's time that our cornerbacks get into this interception party. So far, the only guy that's getting into the interception party on our defense is really Malcolm Jenkins. So it's time for the cornerbacks to start, locating the ball and getting some interceptions.
Yeah, Jenkins, the only guy in the secondary with a pick. He's got 3 of them. That's it. That's it for the whole defense, or the secondary at least. So, yeah, great point there. Carey, you're terrible. But you know what? Just from watching Nolan Carroll play last week,
Yeah,
this guy's got to be starting to me. I don't care if he's replacing Fletcher or Williams. I think you got to get him in the starting lineup.
Yeah, no, I agree. Nolan Carroll had his best game as an Eagle so far last week. Really saw him out there the most. So they definitely, obviously they used him a lot in the dime package. So it would be nice if they could get him on the field a little bit more because he did play, well last week. So yeah, I mean, obviously anyone over, Kerry Williams or Fletcher at this point, to be honest. I mean. Yeah. I mean, I kind of thought about this the other day, and it almost gave me nightmares because I'm thinking, is it possible that we could go through this whole season without any of our cornerbacks getting an interception? And I mean, it's very possible, and that's scary.
It's amazing that the corners can't get a pick. Yet this defense has still had a turnover in each of their last 20 games. That's remarkable.
Yeah, that's true. That is kind of a crazy fact there, but it's really, yeah. I mean, honestly, it's coming from that defensive line, getting the pressure and causing turnovers. That's where it's really coming from. But yeah, that's amazing that the cornerbacks haven't got involved in any of those turnovers.
Yeah, this is where we can talk a little bit about the safety position. Nate Allen missed practice yesterday with a hamstring injury. Not sure if he practiced today or not. I skimmed the practice report and I forget what it said with him. But I'm getting to the point where I want Earl Wolf out there. But you talked about it before our show. Chip isn't really enamored with him too much.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Chip Kelly is a big Earl Wolf guy. Obviously, Wolf missed a lot of time last year due to injuries. This year, Nate Allen kind of held ground, and he held on to that starting spot back there at safety. So Earl Wolf has kind of seen some time sparingly here, but apparently he hasn't held up to Chip Kelly's standard. So as of right now in practice, the Eagles. They have Maragos back there at safety, along with Watkins, their rookie. So, we'll see, what happens on Sunday. It all really depends on if Nate Allen can go. I'm going to imagine that he would be able to play, but I would say that you're going to see a combination back there at safety, probably with, Wolf and Allen splitting time.
Yeah, and the my concern with Nate Allen is in this game is going to be his eyes because the Texans, they love using that stretch play action, and he's going to get caught peeking probably 3 or 4 times in this one if he plays.
Yeah, I still have nightmares thinking about that game against the Cardinals and Nate Allen peeking into the backfield. I really don't know what he was doing. He must have been peeking at Carson Palmer's peacock because he was not peeking at the ball. I mean, no idea what he was doing on that play. I mean, the Eagles could have won that game if Nate Allen isn't a complete moron. But since Nate Allen was a complete moron, we lost that game. All he has to do, I would have had Nate Allen back on the goal line in that situation. The last thing you want to do is give up a touchdown. I'm confused. I have no idea what he was looking in the backfield for. Did he think they were going to run the ball?
Yeah, his eyes were not only peeking in the backfield, then he's looking at the underneath receiver running a crossing route. And there goes John Brown way down the field, and he's gone. Bye-bye.
See you later. Game over. Eagles lose. No idea what he's doing. Just completely lost out there. Not really a fan of the a blitz on that type of play. So yeah, that was just ugly play for the Eagles on defense. One that they would definitely like to have back, and one that Nate Allen would like to forget about. Nate Allen kind of got into her good graces. Moments before that when he came up with a nice strip fumble along the sideline and was able to stay in bounds. But then, you know, he made sure that he went back to his old Nate Allen ways, and he was peeking in the backfield for no reason at all.
Oh man. Well, as devastating as that Cardinals loss was, you saw us on the show. We were binge drinking. We couldn't stop drinking. And we kept drinking until the Redskins won on Monday night. And all of a sudden, that loss didn't seem so bad anymore, did it, Mike?
No, I mean it didn't. I gotta say that I did not expect the Redskins to come away with a victory in that game at all. Somehow Colt McCoy pulled it off. It was really a miracle, but it was. I mean, that was huge for the Eagles. Some people really, I guess outside of Philadelphia, don't realize what that meant for the Eagles, but that really meant the world because instead of the Eagles being a game and a half down on the Cowboys. Now it's only a half game, and that's because of the Eagles having their bye week already. The Cowboys not having a bye week yet. So really, the Redskins did us a big solid. Deshaun Jackson, that guy, I tell you what, I miss his playmaking ability, but Jesus Christ, I don't miss all his extracurricular activities.
Oh my God, he's looking to fight everybody in that game. Like, dude, you're 140 pounds soaking wet. What are you doing going after NFL guys? What are you doing talking shit for? What?
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. The guy he gets up after every play. He's yelling at Colt McCoy. He's getting in the face of the defender. He's looking for a flag. I mean, it's really unbelievable. The guy just can't keep his head straight. But hell of an athlete. But yeah, Jesus Christ, all the extra stuff. I definitely don't miss that. I mean, it almost cost the Redskins a few times. They're lucky that he didn't get called for a few flags with his stupid antics.
And I swear to God, that game was like nerve-wracking,
Oh,
especially the last couple of minutes. Romophobia kicked in. It kicked in hard. The ginger didn't trust his fellow ginger. He didn't keep weeding the game. Obviously Romo got hurt earlier in the game and came back. He almost throws a pick. Then he fumbles, and somehow Ryan Kerrigan, I don't know what the hell he's doing. Can't come down with the ball. He's got to get on that slip and slide practice, to cover loose fumbles. So you had those two plays. Then you had a holding in the end zone that wasn't called. So you had three plays where the Cowboys could have lost, and none of them happened. And you're like, oh my God, Dallas is gonna somehow find a way to win this game. And the Redskins won in overtime. They kept blitzing Romo, and the Cowboys, they never had an answer for it. It was incredible. You'd think that maybe you'd want to max protect, use your tight ends to max protect, and you could just have Des Bryant run around. That's it. That's all you need. You have Des Bryant, one of the best wide receivers in the game, and they never max protected. They just kept letting the Redskins come after Romo, and they never had an answer for it.
yeah, no, really, yeah, it's shocking. I can't believe that the Cowboys didn't have an answer for that all-out blitz that the Redskins really brought the entire game. And obviously, at the end of the game, Romo didn't have the answer again. So really, just quite shocking. But you got to give a lot of credit to the Redskins because they came into that game and they had a great game plan against the Cowboys, I feel like. And the Cowboys had no answer. But the guys that you really got to give the game ball to for the Redskins there are, their young cornerbacks, especially that Breland guy.
Hmm.
He really stepped it up in that game and made a name for himself. So definitely got to give it up to them because, when you bring out an all-out blitz like that, it really puts a tremendous amount of pressure on your cornerbacks and make plays. And, well, that's what they did. And won them the game at the end because they were able to swat that pass away on fourth down.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, it was a miracle. It was awesome. Yeah, especially like you look at the schedule coming up for the Cowboys. They don't play anybody, so that was huge for the Eagles to have them lose. You know, I don't know. I mean, obviously Dallas they can lose to anybody as we saw on Monday night, but you really look at that slate. There's nothing there.
Yeah. Well, up. It looks like my battery is getting low, so at the moment I had to run upstairs and get my charger. So for 2 seconds, you're gonna have to maybe talk about the Cowboys' schedule here and that why this game was so big because the Cowboys actually they end up playing the Cardinals this week, and that could be another loss. So that's why this loss was big for the Cowboys. So I'll be right back.
All right, you go run off and
All right.
go get your charger. Go scamper, scoot, scoot. Oh man. All right, so speaking of the Dallas Cowboys schedule, I got it right in front of me. And they really don't play anybody. They really don't. You got Arizona this week, and that could very easily be a loss. Cardinals coming in 6-1, but you look at the rest of the slate. You got Jacksonville and London. Then you go to the bye week. You come out of the bye week. It's at New York. Again, another team that's struggling right now. And then it's Philly, at Chicago, at Philly, Indianapolis at home, and at Washington. So, before they head into the bye, you got another home game, and at Jacksonville. Jacksonville's going to guarantee to win. And then after the bye at New York, they can win that game or not. But obviously, the two games that are going to decide a division are those two against Philly, those 2 out of 3 weeks. And you look at the Chicago game, it's not going to be as difficult as you might have thought earlier in the season. The Bears look like a complete mess right now. So, Mike is back. He's back with his charger. I guess he hasn't hooked it up yet. All right, so yeah, keep talking Cowboys, Cowgirls. It still amazes me how they're ahead of the Eagles in these power rankings polls. I just don't get it. They really haven't beaten anybody except Seattle. At Seattle, great win, I guess, but the Seahawks have shown so far this season they're not as good as they were last year. So, they just they're still atop those power rankings for whatever reason. I'm seeing them like third, fourth. It's amazing. I guess Mike's back now.
They made it back just in time. I see you're talking about the Seahawks and the power rankings.
I was talking to the Cowboys in the power rankings. They're still ahead of the Eagles in most of these things, and it's remarkable to me. They're just slobbing on Romo's cock. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, the one thing that we kind of, I don't know if you mentioned this while I was gone, but the Cowboys, them losing, Justin Durant, their linebacker
Yeah.
there in that game against the Redskins was huge. I think it was almost more important than Romo getting injured in that game because, with Sean Lee out for the year, Durant really stepped in and did a very nice job. So him going down with the season-ending injury, I feel like that's a big blow to the Cowboys' defense.
Yeah, besides like Rolando McClain, he was playing the best ball on that defense. And there's not a lot on that defense. There's not much at all. And he was one of the lone bright spots. I guess Dallas's defense obviously doing a lot better than the expectations were. But it's still not saying much. I mean, they're still a bad defense. It's not like they're any good or anything. And now without Durant, it gets even worse. And, it just helps the Eagles even further.
Yeah, the thing that's interesting, I want to see what happens in the future here with how teams decide to attack the Cowboys because obviously we know the NFL is a copycat league. So I want to see if other defenses try to bring that all-out blitz because obviously the Cowboys had no answer for it. Now the Cardinals are going to do one of the same type of thing because they're a type of team that likes to bring a lot of pressure. We saw that this past Sunday like they did against the Eagles. So they're going to go into the game, bring a lot of pressure against Romo if he plays or Whedon if he's in there. So it'll be interesting to see if other teams try to do the same type of thing because it was kind of shocking that the Cowboys didn't adjust throughout the game.
Yeah, yeah. And that falls on the ginger. Falls on the ginger. All right, so moving on, we're going to make our predictions now for the Eagles game. Um, I like the Eagles in this one. I actually like them a lot. Coming off that loss, a bitter loss, I think they're going to, whoop on the Texans a little bit. So I got like a 30-20 score, Eagles. I think they win this one pretty handily.
Yeah, I agree with you here. I think that the Eagles bounce back. I think they're kind of really pissed off the way that they lost against the Cardinals here. So I really think that, this is a game, I think, where you're going to see McCoy get it going a little bit. You're going to see a lot of Sproles. Probably maybe see some more action from the special teams, maybe another block punt or something like that, some parky action. So, yeah, I've got the Eagles winning this one, 34-20.
All right, so yeah, we're both about in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
34. I got 30 points. So yeah, Eagles win by double figures, and that's what we got. All right, so I guess we can make the rest of our picks. We were originally thinking about just putting them in the description box on YouTube, but I guess we could go through them real quick. So I got the slate in front of me here. Do this real
Alrighty.
quick because I gotta get ready for work. Um,
Yeah.
all right, tonight, first place on the line in the NFC South, New Orleans at Carolina. It's remarkable how the Saints are only a half game back in the division, considering how bad they've been this season. 0-4 away from home. Um, Saints looked really good last week. I'm not too high on the Panthers. I guess I got the Saints in this one. I'm not really liking it, but I got the Saints.
Yeah, it's amazing how bad that NFC South is right now. It's really up for grabs for anyone. It looked like the Saints were a team that were dead in the water, but all of a sudden they've got some life again, and it looks like they're going to make a run at that division crown. So I'm going with the Saints. I think they're back, and Breeze has them rolling right now. So yeah, like you said, I'm not a big fan of the Panthers this season. So definitely going with the Saints.
A little grilled brie sandwich. All right, so the big one in Big D, Arizona at Dallas. I mean, we're not going to pick Dallas in this one. It's just not happening. We never pick Dallas.
No, yeah. I think with Romo kind of banged up a little bit with his back, I think the Cardinals will do a nice job of getting pressure on him and forcing him into some interceptions or some turnovers. So, yeah, I like the Cardinals in this game.
All right, who gives a shit game of the week? Tampa Bay at Cleveland. I'll just take Cleveland at home. Tampa Bay is abysmal.
Uh, yeah, I've got to go with Cleveland in this one.
All right, Michael Vick will get the start against his former head coach in Kansas City. I got the Chiefs at home. The Jets are a mess right now.
Yeah, how many picks will Vic throw? I guess we'll find out. But yeah, the Chiefs will win this one, and Big Andy, will be having some barbecue on the sideline as he watches. Vic will probably exit with an injury. I'll say Vic will get injured in this game, probably a rib injury, and that won't be good because I'm covering this game on Sunday. So that means that I'm more than right about again since I had the Jets last weekend. It's a circus there with the Jets. So, yeah, Chiefs win.
All right. Jacksonville at Cincinnati. This one will be real quick too. I got the Bengals at home.
Yeah, the Bengals in this one, obviously.
San Diego at Miami. Are we going to swim with the Dolphins? Chargers coming off back-to-back losses. Miami's played a little better lately, but yeah, I like the Chargers. I don't see them losing 3 in a row.
Yeah, the Chargers bounce back and they tame the Dolphins.
All right. Oh boy, another bad one. So it looks like RG3 is going to return this Sunday for the Redskins. Travel to Minnesota, take on the Fighting Teddy Bridgewaters. Uh, you know what?
Hmm.
I think the Redskins are going to have a letdown. I'm going to take the Vikings.
Yeah, not a big fan of this decision by the Redskins, by the way. I think that it's a stupid move by them, considering that they have a bye week next week. I think they're rushing back RG3 way too early. I would honestly rather see Colt McCoy out there. He showed me something on Monday night. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with the Vikings, and I'm going to predict another RG3 injury.
Oh man! All right, so we have not had any differences so far. St. Louis at San Francisco. I got the Niners at home in that one. Not much. On the middle.
Yeah, no, this is the Niners right now all over it because the Rams have so many injuries. They're bringing guys from off the street in St. Louis to play in this game, so 49ers kill them.
Oakland at Seattle. Seattle back at home, take on the Raiders. No way Oakland's gonna. No way. Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle. If the Raiders win this game, that would probably be one of the biggest miracles of all time.
Denver at New England. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning meet again. Rematch of last year's AFC Championship game.
Yeah,
Oh man, this one's hard to pick. It's in Foxborough. New England's played a lot better than they have been since their 2-2 start, utilizing their tight ends more. Oh man, Denver's just on a roll right now. This is hard. I'm gonna take the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm going with the Patriots, but obviously this is a coin flip game. It's a hell of a matchup, so you could go either way. But yeah, everyone's excited to watch that one.
All right, this is the game I got Sunday. Baltimore at Pittsburgh, Sunday Night Football.
Hmm.
Steelers, all of a sudden they're 5-3. I still don't buy them. I'm not a big Steelers guy this year. Even though Big Ben went out and tossed, 522 yards and 6 touchdowns, 6 or 5. I think it's 6, right? It's 6.
Yeah, I think it ended up being 6.
Yeah, so, coming off a career game, Baltimore coming off a loss against Cincinnati. Um, it's a tough one, too. I got the Ravens.
Yeah, the Steelers kind of shocked me last week because, I mean, that offense just exploded against the Colts, and it really came out of nowhere. I really don't know what Big Ben did before that game. He must have raped some girls in the bathroom before the game because it worked out in his advantage. And he must have been raping them during the game, too, because his performance carried over for the entire game. So it's hard. I think that was just kind of a fluke at this point. I mean, I don't know where that came from. I never thought the Steelers were that good this year. So yeah, I think that the Ravens they've been hot lately. So I think they kind of put it back in their place.
All right, Monday night game, Indianapolis at the Giants. Giants come off the bye week. Colts, just talked about coming off that loss against the Steelers. T.Y. Hilton leading the NFL in receiving yards. I love Andrew Luck. I like the Colts.
Yeah, I like the Colts too. I think that the Colts are going to be a little bit pissed off after that devastating loss to the Steelers. So yeah, Colts win. Giants aren't that great of a football team.
All right, so there you go. Those are our picks this week. Only, actually, we didn't have any differences, did we?
I don't think we did this week.
Jesus Christ, man, we agree too much.
Yeah, well, there really isn't that many, good games. I mean, obviously, besides Denver, New England, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. I mean, besides that, there's really no game that jumps out at you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, nothing much, especially the 1 o'clock slate. It's
Oh,
real bad.
yeah, and this is one of those weeks where there's a lot of teams on a bye, so not that many games this week.
Yeah, let's see. This is one of those six teams on the bye.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so made our picks, covered the Eagles game. got everything pretty much set for this week. Got all of our viewers, you know, tuned in, and yeah, this is about that time where it's final thoughts time for Mike Owens.
Yeah, I mean, here we are getting ready to go to Houston and battle the damn Texans. We're 3-0 all time against the Texans, so it's a team that we really don't face that much. So I don't think we should have too much of a problem with the Texans as long as the Eagles aren't idiots and they don't turn the ball over. Everything should be okay, and hopefully Foles goes out there, puts up a big game. Foles actually has the opportunity here to have two really good games in a row, and if he does that, people will start running after our Foles bandwagon and trying to get back on it when they had just left it. So it could make for an interesting scene in Philadelphia. Foles could go from, one of the most hated guys to one of the most loved guys within a span of 2 weeks here. So, typical Philadelphia. Everybody, likes to rush to their opinions on a guy. So, we'll see what happens. But I think that, the Eagles make everyone happy this week and could be looking at first place in the NFC East.
Hmm. Now, before we conclude our show, because you bring up they're 3-0 against the Texans. Our boy Brian Dawkins had himself a game one year. I'm trying to remember what he did exactly. Didn't he have like a fake punt and he scored a touchdown off of it? I'm trying to remember what he did. He had like this historic game against, and I don't remember quite exactly what it was. You remember?
Yeah, back during the vet days, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was during the vet days. I'm trying to remember. I think it was like might have been 2002. If hmm, I'll have to tweet about it. Yeah, because I forget what he did, but I just remember. I think there was like a fake punt, and he had like a punt return, or not a punt return, but a fake punt touchdown or something.
Yeah, he did. I think I was actually at that game,
Oh wow.
if I remember correctly. So, yeah, it was pretty crazy. But yeah, you're right. It was something like that. It was like a fake punt or something for a touchdown. But yeah, he had dominated that game. So yeah, Texans are a team that we really don't play that much. So it's always weird to watch the Eagles match up with them.
Yeah, obviously an AFC team. You only play them once every 4 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
All right. All right. I think that's all for today. I have to get ready for work. I got to eat. So I know you have off today. Lucky you. So I'll be off to work covering that Saints game tonight, actually.
oh yeah. There you go. It's that should be a good one. So yeah, enjoy work. Halloween's coming up here, so actually, Friday. So everyone, be careful. Make sure you don't eat any contaminated candy. Stay away from the poisonous candy. And if you're drinking, make sure you drive. Have someone that has not been drinking drive. No drinking and driving. And we will see everybody after Halloween and in November actually, and after another Eagles win.
Well, and if you don't want your Reese's cups, mail them to me because I will devour them.
Yes, he will devour them. He loves his Reese's cups. So,
Oh, you're not kidding. All right. With that being said, that was Mike Owens. I'm Adrian Fedkiw. We're out of here. Go Birds, baby.
go Birds.